Welcome to Double Nickel, reflections on life, travel, and time. As the channel name implies or indicates to you, I've turned 55 years old. That's a major milestone for me in life. The name is not unique, but around my company that I've worked for many years, Double Nickel is it's kind of a term for the age when retirement begins to have some new implications for many of us. And so that was the reason for my choice of the channel name. And it seemed like a good time for me to start something brand new. That brand new thing is going to be this channel, Double Nickel. And since this is episode 1, I wanted to explain the who, what, and why for this project. Before I do that, just a little bit about me. I've spent most of my adult life in a really stable career with a very structured life. Just like all of us, my profession has informed me of when to be places, where to be, how long to be there, what my priorities are, what my focus should be. And there's certainly a huge amount of gratification and reward that we all get from our work, especially if we do our work well. And so I've had a good career. But now I'm preparing for something different. I'm looking forward in the not too distant future to a time of retirement. And I hope that to be a retirement into a life that's fully lived on my terms. So as I mentioned, who is this for? Well, it's mainly for my family. It's for my wife, who stood by me and blessed me with a wonderful marriage of already 31 years and counting. It's also for my son. He may find these videos interesting and learn some things about dear old dad that he didn't know, possibly even a few nuggets of wisdom in here that he'll be able to apply to his life later. And maybe even one day I'll have grandchildren who know an older version of me and are able to look at this channel and watch these videos and get to know me in a little different context than they will then. Secondarily, this channel will be for any friends or others who may want to ride along on this journey with me as we go. Perhaps share your experiences or encouragement to me or to others that comment on videos. Maybe you've got some lessons learned that you want to share, some wisdom for anybody else that's going through a life in transition, and not just a transition into retirement. It could be any major transition of life that this channel is helpful in some way for. So what is it? This is a personal video journal. I've tried to imply that and make it clear, but I want to say it explicitly. It's about a life in transition from a mostly static and sedentary career that I described to you earlier, where I had those brief vacations and interludes that we all have and hope we are able to experience and enjoy, to a life that's intentionally in motion and with purpose. I love to travel. My wife loves to travel, experience new places. So we want to capture some of those things and what it's like approaching retirement, transitioning into retirement eventually, and then living that life out and sharing those experiences. I'll tell you what this is certainly not, though. This is not some high-end production channel. That's obvious to you already. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I don't plan to become one. I'm just a guy with a phone and some thoughts that I think might be useful that I want to capture and share along the way. Major part, as was indicated by my target audience, is some legacy purpose. But anybody else that's going through a similar time of life where you're winding down your career and dealing with those choices and challenges and looking forward into retirement, certainly you're welcome along. It's for you as well. Anybody facing a major choice, like they need to take a new job or move to a new place, or you've lost someone, or you're considering a marriage. It could be anything that's a major transition. And all big transitions impact our entire life when they're of significance. So being able to reflect and think back on some of those things might be useful to you. I'd love your comments. I'd love your feedback on the content, not necessarily how to make it any better. Not looking for that. As I mentioned, I'm just a guy with a phone. So the most exciting part for me is what I'm going to be talking about. Certainly planning. There's a financial stewardship component that we'll talk about, not a lot of specifics, mainly just directional advice, some things I have experienced, some things I've many things I've learned from others that are extremely valuable. There are plenty of retirement channels out there that talk about financial wellness and planning. I would refer you to those channels if you want more information and really dig deep. But I'll provide some I say guardrails and some guidelines around financial stewardship, at least the way we planned out our life as we are leading up to retirement. There's some mental planning that goes into this. There's a lot of conversation around your identity. I never understood that until I'm now closer to the day that I'll leave my profession and retire to my life. There's certainly a component of identity. So there's some mental planning, I think, that makes sense to go through along the way. I want to talk a little bit about gear, equipment, whatever your setup is. I'll share some information about mine, my gear, the things that I have chosen to acquire to support the kind of travel we're going to be doing, mostly slow travel, which leads me to my next piece of content. What are the logistics around that, the planning for the travel? We'll have those typical vacations, especially between now and my official retirement date. We'll be just like we've always been. We'll have some trips and travel that are time bound. They'll start on this day and end on that day. So we'll share some about that. I think that'll be interesting and memorialize those experiences and what it's like when we visit these places. But as we move into retirement, certainly I'm very focused on a less structured form of like slow travel, where start and end dates aren't as clearly defined. They become refined as we approach. Certainly the launch date, and then you get back when you get back within some boundaries. I want to talk about national parks, state parks. There's not a lot of content out there about state parks. So if I discover some jewels and some goodies for you, I'll share those. Maybe you can capitalize on something I find that it'd be good for you. We love to hike. When I was younger, I could hike many more miles than I can now, but still love it. So we'll continue to do some hiking, other experiences, and just points of interest along the way. The other thing that I think will be interesting to share about is just what's it like out on the open road in the slow travel mode, when you're a place 3 days, 4 days, you decide you're going to stay a fifth day, and then there's some transition as you sort of figure out where you're going next based off of maybe a rough draft. Those are the kind of things that I'll be sharing. I thought it'd be important to share why I'm doing this project now. Well, as I kind of alluded to and explained, for decades, someone else has largely determined the structure of my days. And at 55, I'm choosing to take the wheel of my life over and take over control. I'm embracing and I'm excited about this new chapter of life. This isn't someone who is unhappy with their job. Not really. I work with great people. I have a fantastic job, and it's very rewarding in a lot of ways. But it's not what I would do if I could choose anything, like any of us. And so I'm really anticipating and looking forward to what that time will be like when I've taken control and my wife and I are determining where we're going to be and when we're going to be there, how we want to go about it. I recognize that there are some who may watch a video like this and say, man, 55 years old, that might be foolish. That might be making a mistake to retire at that age. It's young. And that's okay if you think that. I understand. I've had a lot of those same thoughts, and probably thoughts that you have if you're in the neighborhood of retirement and you're thinking about it. Work another year. Well, I mean, that's always get one more year, one more raise, one more set of vacation. Or you can have a particular dollar target. We usually think in those round figures, round terms when we have a dollar target in mind, and that's fine if that's your thing. You could say, I want to work till I'm 62 so that I know I can at least start Social Security if I need to, or I could work till I'm 65 when I'm Medicare eligible and I don't have to think about the healthcare decision that much, what my insurance will be like. I could continue on till 67, what Social Security calls full retirement age, or even to 70 when you receive your maximum benefit. And those are all very reasonable choices and fair. If that's the way you choose to approach it, I totally understand it. But I've come to understand that risk never goes to zero regardless of the planning. So 55, 59 and a half when you can get to your IRA, or any of these other dates or ages that I've mentioned or thresholds, regardless of the one you select, there's never a zero risk solution in that regard. So back to stewardship that we'll talk more about another time. But risk isn't just financial. There's more to it than just the financial part of this. Studies have suggested that Americans, on average, stay healthy into their mid-60s. And that fact, that reality from I believe it was the National Institute of Health, really got my attention and got me to thinking very deliberately about the choices we're going to make going forward. And I've been sharing this with my wife, as I obviously probably picked up on. There's a finite amount of healthy life left in front of us. That's not your life expectancy. You can look at actuarial tables. Social Security website provides that. There's plenty of calculators online, and then do some inputs and figure out what your life expectancy is. But that's not what I'm talking about. It's the age at which a health event will likely occur on average that will impact your life permanently, and thus in some way impact your ability to live to the fullest, to be able to move as well as you move now, to have the energy you have and the stamina to do the things you want to do. And at 55, if it's a mid-60s somewhere, I'm like, that's a decade for me. And it resonated deeply with me when I came across that. Some other YouTubers have shared it since it's been published, but it was new to me to hear that. And certainly has a lot to do with my personal planning and our personal planning as we make our choices going forward. Retirement for me won't be about leaving something behind so much as it's about being fair to the years spent preparing for this very season of life, decades preparing for it. It's about properly valuing and stewarding that most precious resource we all have, and that's time. So next time we'll start talking about what this transition actually looks like and feels like. We'll offer some of those reflections, and we'll start down this journey together. Until then, this is Double Nickel, and let's see where the journey takes us.